All right, let's get started. This is Finish Your Book When You Don't Have the Time, the Focus, or the Motivation. And I'm really excited about doing this today because this is the thing that people tell me stops them from writing their book. So I'm super excited to be talking about this today. And let's get started. So who am I? I am Melody Ann. I live in Vancouver, Canada. And in my off time, I'm either hiking or kayaking, or I'm enjoying a good meal with a glass of wine. That's just a little bit about me personally. Okay, but I started in publishing in the 1990s, working for Oxford University Press. So I've been around in publishing a long time. I've seen it change drastically over those years. And I believe that after years of experience, after study, after life, after all of these inputs you've had, that you are capable of writing a powerful book that can send a message to people and really change their lives. And I think this book can change your life as well. My work, I believe, is to make this whole process easier. If you want to become a successful nonfiction author and you want to share your message and your expertise with the world, it is my job to help you. I get up every day to do that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about time, because people always tell me I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have focus. I don't have motivation. I don't have time. Time is precious. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. This is my mother. Time with my mother is precious. My mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's right before she was about to retire and have those golden years. All of those golden years was taken away from her. I looked after her for over 10 years. She didn't live with me. She lived a little bit, like just a little further away. My kids were young, but I used to, run back and forth, looking after her, looking after my kids. I didn't have a lot of time. Time became time with my kids as they grew up, time with my mother. It was all very precious. And at the same time, I wanted to do something for myself and work. And so I didn't run a business like I do now. I freelanced. And when I came back to rebuilding the habits that I'd lost because I was freelancing and not running a business, I had to rebuild this habit. I had to decide on my new focus in life. I had to decide what my new life experiences were going to be. And honestly, I had to move from exhausted. Can you imagine looking after a mother with Alzheimer's, looking after your kids, trying to work freelance as much as possible? I was exhausted. I didn't have a lot of motivation. I wanted my motivation back. I wanted my energy back. And I understand that sometimes we're not in a place to do everything we want to do, and that's okay. But if you are in the place where you want to do something and you are looking for your way back to that place, you do want to fit writing into your life, you do want to fit a book into your life, then you are in the right place, and I am here to support that. Marilyn, one of my clients, had 2 published books, but all of a sudden on her 3rd book, she was feeling demotivated, unfocused. She hadn't done much writing. She'd taken a break. She was, at the time, not working on another book. And she joined Author Nation. She started coming regularly to our writing sessions and our other events. We started working on building her creative habit. We started working together to get her writing again. And now she can easily write 1,000 words at each session. She publishes 3 blogs a week. She has participated in several collaborative books, and she currently has 2 more books on the way. So the stuff I'm about to tell you works. That's what I'm telling you. Even with Marilyn, a client who has already published and hit a wall, and she was feeling demotivated and unfocused, this works. So what I'm about to tell you works. Oh, this is not working. There we go. That works. All right. So, Marilyn, this is, lost my place. So Marilyn has thrived in the Author Nation community. She's loved being there. I have loved working with her, and she has had some amazing results. She, as I said, she's writing 3 blogs a week. She's working on another book, 2 books, in fact. it's really exciting. And she's found that connecting with other authors has helped her. She has done a whole bunch of other things that's really exciting for her. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about what she's done. So she's built a new habit. She's gotten motivated again. She's found time again. She's showing up. And she publishes, again, 3 blogs a week. She started an email list not that long ago. I was super excited about that. She's created a short ebook for her email list. She's participated in 2 other anthologies just last year. I think she's got 2 more on the way. She's working on book 3, and she regularly finds the time and the motivation to write. Plus, she takes holidays. Plus, she does a whole bunch of other stuff. It's not like she's glued to her computer screen. She has gained confidence in connecting with her readers. And I'm really, really excited for her and where her authorship is going. So what stops Marilyn and people like Marilyn? It's the idea that you don't have enough time. It's the idea that you can't focus. And it's that lack of motivation. People are waiting to find the time. They're waiting to find the motivation. They're waiting for the inspiration to come. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. So we're going to talk about the tools to help you become a productive writer, productive author. And I'm going to be talking about 3 things. And the first thing I want to talk about is setting goals. The first thing you should do every time is sit down and set some goals for yourself. Success and productivity are linked to goals. This is an unknown quote, but if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. And a lot of times when people come to me and they're writing, they're like, oh, I've got this like vague idea and I'm just going to write about this vague idea. And that's just time and time again, what I've seen is that doesn't get you where you want to be. Knowing your direction helps you find the quickest path to where you want to go. So after having goals, then you can implement systems in place to get you there faster and with more success. But the first thing we want to talk about is actually setting your goals. Ah, there we go. And so I want to talk about why we should set our goals. So first off, it gives you clarity. Clarity gives you focus. No goals means no focus, no clarity. And generally, you're not going to get anywhere with it, right? You're just going to stop. You're going to hit that wall. You're going to be staring at that blank page because you're not really sure what you're doing there. You're not really sure why you're there. So you really want to set goals for clarity. And then the other thing it does, it solidifies your purpose. You know exactly what you are doing this for, right? And it's not just about clarity where I'm going, but also that purpose, that inner meaning for you. When you have an inner meaning, when you have a deep purpose, you feel motivated. It's one of the biggest motivators, just to have purpose. And then, of course, focus. If you have this deep inner deep inner purpose, and you have this external clarity of where you're going, focus comes. So let me say that again. When you have a deep inner purpose and you have that external clarity of where you want to go, focus becomes much easier, as does motivation. So vague goals, too many goals, goals that are too big, goals that are too small. These are all things that derail a book, goals that aren't specific enough. And once you have your goals clear, you can actually get a working outline and chunk down the work to make it so much easier. And then people come to me and they say, I need like a whole afternoon to write. And I'm like, no, not if you have really clear specific goals and you've chunked down the work and you have a working outline. You can just grab a little piece and run with it. So when you set clear goals, you will spend less time writing. Your writing is more focused and you will finish sooner. When you set clear goals and break them down into doable tasks, you'll get more done in the same amount of time. What you produce will be better, higher quality, plus you will feel more motivated. When you are working and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, and you don't realize the progress you're having, you will become demotivated. But when you have clear goals and you break them down into doable tasks and you get more done in the same amount of time, you see that, you feel that, and you will be motivated. Motivation and focus, right? They'll go hand in hand. Even a clear topic is not a goal. I help my clients break things down even more so they can see each task and see when each task is complete. So you want goals. What happens when you don't have goals? You have a lack of goals means you might write a great book, you might not, we're not sure, but you won't get clients. So when you have clear goals, you know exactly what you need to write, to whom, why they're going to read it, how they're going to follow up with you, how you're going to turn them into clients. You have all of that pieced together. I met this woman. She was she was a really lovely woman. And she was an amazing writer. And she was a phenomenal storyteller. And she came and she had this beautiful book, wonderful book. And she sold quite a few, but she didn't get any clients from it. She'd written stories about other people, not about her clients and not about herself, but other people, sometimes famous people. She was quite modest. She said, I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want to talk about my successes. So I found these stories and I'm writing about them. Well, her goal was to get her readers to connect with her, but she wrote about everyone else. So as much as we love Modest, we don't buy from Modest. People wanted to know what she could do for them, what she had done for herself and what she had done for her clients. That was missing from the book. So as wonderful as the book was, it was a great book because she didn't have clear goals. She wrote a great book and still didn't get any clients. So be really specific about your goals, who you're writing to, and how that's all going to fit together. All right. Next, I want to talk about eliminating distractions. Johann Hari wrote a book, Stolen Focus. And this is one of his quotes. It's not your fault you can't focus. It's by design. We live in a very distracting world. Stolen Focus is a great book about this topic. And that quote is obviously from that author. All right, I want to talk a little bit about distraction and what's going on. Who multitasks, right? Put one in the chat if you multitask. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We all seem to multitask. I have learned that multitasking takes more of my energy and produces fewer results, less quality results. So if you're feeling demotivated, exhausted, if you feel like you have a lack of time and a lack of focus, your time gets eaten up and you're not sure why, look at how you get into a deeper state of work. Because the truth is, multitasking is a myth. And yet we are pushed to multitask. Our society says multitask, so much to do. There's so much to do. Go, 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 go. And you're trying to get it all done and you're just land up crazy, right? Our brains are not evolved yet to multitask. Maybe they will be in several generations, but right now we cannot multitask. When we try to multitask, the results are that we get less done. We produce lower quality work. Our brains become overwhelmed. We feel exhausted. And then we become addicted to things that are not building our dreams, like scrolling through Facebook and watching a funny cat video on YouTube, or flipping through Facebook, or did I just say that? Whatever it happens to be, right? Playing a game of whatever the most popular game is these days. Multitasking equals exhaustion. People who multitask, they feel like they're productive because I did 10 tasks at the same time and I did this and this and this and this. And then they're exhausted and they're burnt out and they don't know why. They're burnt out because multitasking isn't real. It's not something that is useful for you. So stop multitasking, reject multitasking, no longer celebrate multitasking. I don't multitask. I do one thing at a time. I'm here, I'm not looking at anything else. I'm focused on this, giving this talk right now. This is what I'm doing. And if you have been multitasking, you're not sure how to get out of it, my advice is to start small and celebrate your successes. Just do 1 hour. Put away your phone, put it in another room, turn off the phone. My phone's on silent all the time. I always have my phone on silent when I'm working. And I don't, because I'm not there to be disturbed. I'm in deep work state. I also have other times when I make myself available to people for client calls, for whatever I need to look after. And those are times when I'm not trying to multitask. I am responding to people, and that's respond to people time. But when I'm doing deep work, like writing a book, for example, I'm in deep work time. So set aside a time for deep work. I do mine in the morning. I'm a morning person. If you are not a morning person, you can try something else. And I'm going to talk a little later about the ideal day. But for now, the idea is that multitasking leads to distraction, and multitasking leads to exhaustion. Multitasking is not healthy, and you do not want to be doing that. Okay. When you stop multitasking, you will write for the same amount of time and you will produce more. Or any task for that matter. You will become more creative. Your brain won't feel so overwhelmed and exhausted, which will allow creativity to come in, and you will write better material. And when it feels funny, right? Doing deep work, you think that's exhausting? No, it's not. It's energizing. Deep work is energizing. Multitasking is exhausting. And it's challenging to stop because we are set up to multitask. We are set up with social media. We're set up because we're working at home, maybe at the kitchen table. We see ads constantly. I encourage you to take your time back. And that is something I can help you with if you are writing a book. Focus equals productivity. Deep work is the way to focus, eliminating distractions, no longer multitasking. You get focus, you do deep work, and you'll get more done. My clients become much more productive when we find ways for them to focus, when we find ways for them to eliminate distractions. Something we actually do every Monday. We have a writing and community session every Monday morning. People come, they don't do anything but that, and they get a lot more done. And it's a really great way to just start the week. People feel energized and motivated to keep writing throughout the week. And one of the reasons I do a Monday morning writing session is one of the things I help my clients do is build a creative habit. And that's the next piece I want to talk about. When we see other people achieving, writing books, developing courses, making art, being consistent on social media, whatever it happens to be, it is because they have made it a habit. And I love this quote from Seth Godin. Choices lead to habits. Habits become talents. Talents are labeled gifts. You are not born this way. You get this way. I have clients always come to me and say, but I'm not a writer. I can't write. I don't have that skill. I'm not talented. I didn't do well in my high school English, or whatever it is they're coming to tell me. And it's hard when you see other people achieving. Those people have built a habit. I had hired a social media person, and I recently decided to start doing my own social media and just experimenting and playing and seeing, what works for my company. So I'm now doing it. And when I first took it over, I felt so overwhelmed. How am I going to get all this done? How am I going to fit into my busy day? Right? How? And so what I said to myself was, of course, it's new. It feels overwhelming. It is something you can learn. It is a habit you can build, and you will get better at it. And now it is seamlessly in my day. It's part of my ideal day. And so I want you to know that you can build a creative habit, and you can build a creative writing habit no matter what your grade 9 English teacher said. You can do that. All right. How do you do that? I want to first tell you that the 3% of people who finish their books do so through perseverance, planning, and practice, not inspiration. People always say, Melody, how do I get motivated? How do I get inspired? The truth is, the creative habit you build provides the container for your productivity, for your inspiration, right? For your motivation. So it isn't, when you're doing a big project, any kind of art or writing, it isn't just sit there and wait for inspiration. I mean, it's true. I go into nature once a week. Every weekend, I go hiking. It's a really important part of my life. I find motivation and inspiration. I decompress. It's a really important piece. And I'm not suggesting we don't need to go and find inspiration. But what I am saying is, when we build a creative practice and we have that space specifically for whatever it is we're doing, writing, art, social media, when we build that creative practice, we will get more done. 3% of people who start finishing a book finish their book. And they are the people who have built a creative practice. They've persevered, they have planned, and they've practiced. And as they do that, something happens. They get into what we call flow, a state of flow. And when my clients get there, after being so frustrated, and I'm saying, like, no, we're just going to sit down and write. I don't care what you write. We're going to write. When they get there, all of a sudden they're in flow. It's like, Melody, I'm in flow. And then they get it. It's like, yeah, okay, this is what I'm doing. I needed a container for my creativity. I needed to create a practice where I can get into that state of flow, into that deep work state of flow, right? And part of that is owning your time and owning your dreams. Like getting rid, like not listening to this whole multitask distractions. You should do this, social media, blah, blah, you don't post 5 times a day, moving away from that and owning your own time and owning your own dreams. And then integrating habits into your busy life, integrating creative habits into your busy life. I will sit down every day for 30 minutes and I will write. Doesn't matter what I write. I'll write poetry. I'll grab a quote and I'll just write my thoughts on the quote. I will grab a question that clients often ask and I'll just write an answer. I'm just going to write 30 minutes. Doesn't matter how many words I write. And then an hour. Doesn't matter how many words I write. You're building up, right? You're owning your schedule. You're integrating that creative habit into your busy day. You're starting slow and you're building, because your creative habit works with your busy life, not against your busy life. That's the other people. People are like, I have to move this around and I have to do this and I have to do that and blah, blah. No. And let's look at your busy life as it is, and let's build a creative practice within that. And let's find a way for you to own your time and own your dreams. And again, start slowly and build. Celebrate your progress. This is really important. And it can feel awkward, right? It can feel really awkward. But for the 3% of people who finish their book, and after they start writing it, this is what they've done. And so really, if you think about it, and just give you a metaphor, right? If you ever, I had this friend, there's this 10K that happens in Vancouver called the Sun Run. He wanted to do the Sun Run. I was going to do the Sun Run. A bunch of people are going to do the Sun Run. And so, I got out there and I was like, running my 3 times a week and doing all the things I was supposed to be doing. And I started off small and I built and I built and I built and, talking to him, he's like, oh, no, I think it'll be fine. I'll just do it. I'll just cram. And of course, I ran the 10K very quickly. I'm not necessarily a fast runner, long distance, but I did it. Well, he couldn't finish because he hadn't been doing it. He hadn't started slowly and he didn't build up. He had jumped into something and expected himself to succeed. Same with writing a book. You just can't jump in and expect yourself to be writing 1,000 words a day. I have clients easily write 1,000 words at a sitting or more. But you can't expect that from you or from yourself day one. It's something you build up to. It hurts when you do too much at once and then we give up. So go baby steps, slow down and build and celebrate your progress. I'm going to give you 2 examples of how busy people fit writing into their lives. First is a soccer mom. Single mom, works, kids did soccer. She wanted to write a book. She took a dictation app on her phone. Every soccer practice, she would be on the sidelines dictating her book. It would be transcribed. That's how she got her first draft done. Somebody else, they wanted to write. They were a busy professional. They were flying from city to city all the time. They were on an airplane twice a week, running from, managing people here and managing people there. How are they going to get it done? Their airplane time is writing time. Every time they sat down on the airplane, they would get out their journal. I think they wrote it longhand, if I remember correctly. This is a little while ago. And they wrote their book. And that was their creative time, airplane time. So you can fit this into your life. You can build a creative practice and get a lot done. So a creative practice allows you to become more productive. Right? We hear of people who are in the flow. Words come through them like they don't even have to work for it. This is how people with a creative habit feel most of the time. Not all of the time. We all get stuck, but most of the time. Because they feel in the flow. And that is so motivating. Feeling in the flow is so motivating. But they don't wait for that motivation and that inspiration to strike. They create the container. They create the creative practice to have that. It's a famous quote by William Faulkner. I only write when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes at 9 every morning. So his creative container was to sit down at 9 a.m. every morning, right? So Marilyn has a routine. Another example. She gets up, she grabs a coffee, she reads the paper. She gets up, she gets another coffee, she sits in front of her computer and she writes. My clients and I find the best way to build this is together. So whether it's built to, you tie it to a time or you tie it to an activity or whatever you tie it to, it's really, really good to tie it to something and get a little help along the way to do it. There you go. So create your ideal day. That's what you want to be doing. As I was saying earlier, when I first came back to working and wanted to build a business, I think I had a mindset of chaos because that's how I felt. I was doing this and that, and I was always over here and over there. But that's what it was like looking after my mother and my kids and trying to do freelancing. That's what it felt like, chaos. So a mentor at the time said to me, Melody, create your ideal day. Create your ideal day. So I've had this little thing up there now. This is actually what my ideal day planner looks like. I actually slot times and I have themes for each day has a theme. Thursdays is I have a YouTube show. So Thursdays is YouTube day. I do the interview of the live show. I follow up. I set up future shows. I read guest forms with new guests. Thursdays is YouTube day. And I block off time specifically to do all of my tasks related to my YouTube show. So I have daily themes, and I have time within each day blocked off for those tasks. And so you can find this. I'll put it in the chat, and I'll put this up on YouTube, and I'll put that in the link as well. You can just, print it out, and literally I take colors. I'll take colors like this red or this blue, and I will block off time, and I'll write what I'm doing. And I turn off my phone, and I turn off Facebook, and I turn off YouTube, and I turn off everything, and I shut my office door, and I get into that activity, and I'm so much more productive when I do that. And if you want to write a book and you want to fit into your life, if you want to do all of these big projects, these are the things that you want to be thinking about. Setting some really specific goals, eliminating distractions, and building a creative practice, right? Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pop the thing back up. So I suggest that you create your ideal day. And as I said, I'll just drop that link in the chat for you, and I'll put it in the YouTube. I'll put this on YouTube, and I'll email it out to people so they have it. So the tricky part is doing it alone. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Author Nation, but I also have a if you don't want so Author Nation is a community. We meet weekly, we do coaching. There's so much involved in that. If you're not ready for that, I also have monthly workshops. And this month we're outlining a book. So if that's where you're at and that's what you want to do, then we can go ahead and get your book outlined, right? It is a one-off workshop. So I have one-off workshops to help you with whatever you need. And then I also have Author Nation. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Author Nation right now, just in case that is something that will be useful for you. So as this says, the tricky part of writing a book is often doing it alone. And so I offer you support to get your book done, right? So what would it look like to finally have your book published? Eliminating those distractions, getting it all off, getting that book done. So in Author Nation, it's a program I have for authors, usually first-time authors, but not all my authors are first-time authors. And so what we do is the first thing we do is we create an idea to published roadmap for you. This is a specific plan for you. You've got your working outline, you've got your segments. So if I only have 15 minutes to write, I can write about this. So you can fit it into your busy day wherever you need to. I also help you develop that creative practice you need. We have writing and community sessions. We do this every single Monday. We get together and we write together. It's really motivating to work with other people, to write with other people. We spend the last 30 minutes of that call. I answer questions. We talk about whatever it is that people want to talk about. If people want feedback, if people have questions, if anyone's stuck, we deal with it. And then we have our Authors Advantage coaching. Now, that's a monthly coaching session. And in that session, you get to ask whatever you want. If you're facing roadblocks, we can help you with those. And then on top of that, we have the Q&A corner. So whenever somebody is stuck and they're not sure what to do, they can pop over to the Q&A corner and ask a question. I check every day. I go in and I answer those questions, and other community members can come in and answer those questions for you as well. And then there's the Path to Publishing Toolbox, full of resources. I was actually speaking to somebody earlier today, and who's a member, and because I always do asking, like, what's in there that you find that's useful? What are you enjoying? What is missing? And the answer was, there's so much in there, right? There's so much in there. And so sometimes people go to Q&A corner to say, I'm looking for a resource on this. And then I can just point that out to them. It just makes it so much easier for you. And then we have author success journals. You get to tell me what you're planning on doing this month. I know what your road plan is, so I get to help keep you accountable, keep you on track. And then we have the author circle networking. Every single month, we always are talking about something, doing something interesting. Then we do workshops, monthly workshops, which are recorded and they go into the library. And of course, we have community connections, which I consider priceless. So with Author Pro, you will receive a personalized plan, which means you get to follow a step-by-step plan, receive all the answers to all your questions. And when you're starting to get stuck, if you think there's a roadblock coming up, we get to talk about it before it's a problem. So you don't get stuck, you don't hit the wall. And of course, you get to belong to this amazing community so that you can write more in less time, so that you're no longer wasting time on endless searches. You feel encouraged and accountable, and you stay motivated during the process, motivated and inspired, because that's where that really comes from. And in the end, you produce a high quality book that fits into your life and business and works well for you. So your roadmap includes, your goals, your reader avatar, your market research, your book concept, your working title, your working outline, and your project timeline. Everything is there for you. Anything else I want to say? Plus, on top of your roadmap, you have your writing and community sessions, your author advantage coaching, your Q&A corner, your path to publishing toolbox, packed full of resources, your author success journals, your author circle, the networking, meeting other authors, your live academy, monthly workshops, mini courses, and your library, and your community connections. All of that in one community. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. So if, actually, I'm going to tell you one more thing. Your investment. Your investment is, your roadmap is $997. That's you and me sitting down one-to-one. My one-to-one coaching costs $297 an hour. And if we take more than 3 hours, that's fine. This is a one-off price. I do it this way so that you know what you're getting into. And then a monthly investment of $97 a month. All right, I am going to stop recording.